Before joining Public Policy Research Institute, he was the director in charge at the Institute for Development Studies at Jaipur, an alumnus of both CDS and JNU, and had worked for some time with the rubber board before joining as a faculty at various places. He's worked extensively on these issues relating to plantation crops, mainly on issues relating to rubber and also some work relating to spices as well, published extensively. He has a number of publications relating to rubber pricing, rubber trade, which has come up in various national and international journals as such. The issue that is being discussed today, rubber production incentive scheme, if you are not aware, this is a particular scheme that has been introduced by the government of Kerala since 2015, providing price subsidy for rubber farmers and giving them some kind of a cushion for the rubber farmers. Whenever the price falls below a particular limit, the government of Kerala would provide certain subsidy to them. And whenever it goes beyond that, they will stop that particular fund. So it has been going for it's almost 10 years now. It's been this particular scheme has attracted a lot of attention during the last elections, parties after party declaring higher and higher promises with regard to how much the subsidy they will be giving for these rubber producers. So it's been an issue of interest for the state government and for the rubber farmers in general. But today what Professor Mohanakumar is going to look at is what has been its effect during the last 10 years, whether it has been effective at all or not. Over to you, Professor Mohanakumar. I'll give the mic to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Vinod Abraham. I express my gratitude for inviting me to give a talk on natural rubber farmers in India and Kerala. As you all know, that I don't know how many of you are familiar with the natural rubber. At least you might have seen it in Kerala. Since that natural rubber was considered, I will give you the broad context, which was not necessary, but it is little elaborative. Natural rubber had been a lucky crops in the international and domestic market until 2011-12. In the NR price touched its peak in April 2011. It reached rupees 241 per kg, and in December 2011 it declined to rupees 197 per kilogram. Since then it has been sliding down with considerable volatility. The price of NR at current price that the farmers realize today is only 70% of the price they realized in 2011-12. That is the scenario background. In the price history of NR after 1950, precisely for this reason, the crop is considered as a lucky crop in the international market. The crop has never experienced such sporadic and frequent fluctuations in price sustaining for years. It has been a strange situation that the consumption of NR increased from 9.8 lakh metric tons to 14 lakh metric tons between 2013 and 24. On the contrary, the production of NR increased from 7.74 lakh metric ton to 8.57 lakh metric ton. The consumption increased by 48% or at the rate of 3% per annum. On the contrary, production of NR increased by 10% between 2013 and 24. Annual rate of growth is around 0.8%, roughly around. The contradiction is that the consumption has been rising for natural rubber, domestic consumption, at a faster rate, but the domestic production is lagging much behind. Still, the price is falling. This is a kind of scenario which goes against the conventional theories of in agriculture economics and in general economics. So, what is the scenario? 70% of the natural rubber in India was produced by automotive tire and tube industry. That's the major consumers. It is comprised of a few multinational companies like Madras Rubber Factory, MRF, Bridgestone, Dunlop, and a few others. Less than 7 automotive tire companies control the entire market for the tire industry in India. And they consume more than 70%. It is now around 73%. It was 66% in 2014. There is a what I am trying to say in this context is that there has been a market concentration of automotive tire manufacturers in India, in the sense that the tiny farmers, like around 85, more than 85% of the farmers are either marginal, marginal or sub-marginal, you can say they have less than an acre of land, and or marginal less than 2 hectares, that is very few. Even the tiny farmers are controlled by large firms which control around 75% of the total production. This is scenario. Number of licensed rubber good manufacturers declined from. Another thing which has been happening is that number of rubber goods manufacturers declined from 734 to 635 during 2013-24. Kerala accounted for 17% in 2030, it declined to 16% in 2024. There has been a concentration in industrial production as well, not only in the automotive tire sector, but in the non-tire sector as well. See, this is the context in which we are discussing the scenario of natural rubber farmers. At the national level, it is about 12 lakh farmers and 3.5 lakh tapping laborers who are engaged, who are harvesting the tree. In Kerala, it could be around, there is no reliable statistics on that. Rubber board doesn't collect statistics on number of farmers and number of tapping trees. It used to have a census till 2015, but after that somehow it got stopped. Now we don't have the statistics on number of, by size-wise classification, but roughly it is estimated that around 8 lakh farmers in Kerala and around 2.5 to 3 lakh tapping laborers are working in the sector. We cannot say that they are eking out their living solely from the natural rubber sector. This is what the recent studies show, but they depend on the sector either partially or fully for their livelihood. So till 2010-11 or 11-12, that peak we discussed it, the natural rubber, the price scenario from 1979-80, I have taken 1979-80, that was the time there was a breakthrough in the natural rubber cultivation for two reasons. One reason is that the RRI 105, that was a high yielding crop, that was largely introduced during this period. It improved the yield of natural rubber and income of farmers. Second, this was the time the Rubber Board, Ministry of Commerce, started replanting subsidy. Replanting, the farmers who had rubber, they could replant with, and the government started giving replanting subsidy. That, that was the period when there was a spike in the area under rubber cultivation. So till 2011-12, there was a spike. After that, it started declining, and now it is plateauing. Plateauing in a sense that from 2013-14, you can see 15-16, that period, where it has been, this period, this was the most tragic period for the farmers in rubber cultivation. And Kerala and Tripura are two major states which cultivate rubber. And in other few northeastern states like Meghalaya, Assam, there are very few farmers, but it is Kerala and part of Tamil Nadu, that is Kanyakumari district, which account for less than 3% of the total area under cultivation. Kerala number 1 and Tripura is number 2 in area and production of natural rubber. See, along with the price fall, that's why we are discussing it, there has been a significant decline in the average productivity of natural rubber. It declined from 1,675 kg per hectare to 1,471 in 2023. So there is a response. The price instability has also increased this coefficient of variation that I don't. So there has been a generalized knowledge or the existing paradigm that is explained. I'll give a brief introduction about it. Like, there are two streams of thought now taking the round. There are a group of economists who argue that the natural rubber farmers, as they did it in the 1930s Rubber Regulation Act, that like oil, these oil producers have a organization of their own. Similarly, the rubber producers, which are confined to Asian countries like India, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam, and little far away Cote d'Ivoire. These are all the few countries which are producing natural rubber. They should form an organization and regulate supply. That is one argument, so that the consumers are mostly from the west and east, and the price can be regulated. That is an argument which has been going on. It has not. It happened once. There is a history. In the 1930s, when the price was falling, farmers organized. Government took the initiative to regulate the supply of natural rubber. More or less the same thing can be acted upon. That is the argument. Another argument is that it cannot be. It is not possible because most of the farmers are smallholders and they eke out their living. And what the topping laborers will do, if they stop the topping and production of natural rubber, they will be left nowhere, and they don't have the sufficient wherewithal to survive. So the generalized knowledge is that farmers' decision to allocate resources depend on relative changes in input cost and input prices. You must be knowing T.W. Schultz used the conventional marginal cost, marginal revenue analysis principle as determining factor of investment in agriculture. Precisely what it says is that if the price is falling, you have to push up your productivity so that it can be adjusted, typical neoclassical framework. But Dharam Narayan, Rajakrishna, Tyagi, and few others held the view that change in area under cultivation is a direct function of price. If the price falls, farmers have no other go. They will definitely cut down their cultural practices, the fertilizer application, and productivity will fall. This is another school. Meller argued that a rise in prices would tempt farmers. This is another interesting argument in agriculture economics. Argued that tempt farmers to produce less as the same income can be obtained with a lesser amount of output. That is the backward supply function of agriculture, so that it is an extension of what Smithian argument that the wage laborers should be given as low, only natural wages, because if they are given more wages, then they will not go for work and their productivity will fall. Or more or less the same backward supply function work in the case of Meller. Dandawala, Schultz, all these, they have defended the positive response of area production to price and other economic. These all studies have come up in the 50s to argue that India has to attain self-sufficiency in agriculture production, and that is more or less the same with the natural rubber. India was importing mostly the tire and non-tire products from other countries, and by 70s, late 60s, we started India established its own tire manufacturing companies, and within a decade or two, it established on its own. And it could happen because the natural rubber farmers, cultivating small farmers, has been catering it to the emerging demand of the automotive tire and non-tire sector. That is a part of the invade-oriented import substitution development strategy of India followed till 1991. That is why we could achieve the self-sufficiency in production. So So there are another argument. There have been attempts to develop petty commodity producers. Gulati and a group of agriculture economists argued that farmers in India are unnecessarily state protected and it is a disincentive for fresh investors. Farmers should compete in the international market and sustain the production. This is another school of thought which argues that the natural rubber farmers should not be protected at any cost like any other farmers. Gulati did not talk about natural rubber, but for any farmer, they should be allowed to compete in the international market. They compete and emerge victorious so that they can float in the international market without the support of the state. But it was in this context that after the economic liberalization in 1991, prior to economic liberalization, natural rubber was heavily protected. It is one of the crop with a heavy protection. Even if you are ready to pay import duty, natural rubber had a qualitative restriction that you are prevented virtually from importing any quantity of rubber from anywhere. So it is simply not possible. And by any chance you are reporting importing in 72, 73, it happened when MRF was established. The influence is under union government, and union government withdrew the rule of natural rubber import. And as a result, there was a sliding down on the price. Immediately the policy was stopped. But after that, the policy emerged like even if an industrialist want to import rubber, he has to pay the import duty, that is about 250%, and more or less he has to deposit the pay additional sum of duties, virtually to prevent industrialists from importing rubber. But all these policies have changed by 1991, especially after the signing of WTO agreement. After the WTO agreement, I am just giving the background because it will take 2 minutes. After the WTO agreement, because the import duty on natural rubber was almost more than 75% all through. 70% import duty means if the cost of production if cost of buying a kg of rubber in from Malaysia was 100 rupees, one has to pay 170 rupees when it is landed up here, in addition to cost and insurance price charges and other import related cost. But after 1991, especially after WTO, what happened? The import duty was substantially cut down initially to 40%. Now the import duty is around rupees 30 per kg or 25%, whichever is lower. So when a kg of natural rubber is imported to India, government of India gets at least rupees 30 per kg as its income. That's one thing. And second thing, rubber is absolutely free, and you don't need to, like any other commodity under the economic liberalization, people get the freedom to import as much as they want. But as a result, what happened? The economy, natural rubber was heavily protected, and whatever happens in the outside world was never, it was precluded. Like the NR market was totally precluded from external shocks. For the first time in the history of natural rubber, it tasted the external shock effect by 96-97 when the Southeast Asian crisis broke out. When the Southeast Asian crisis broke out, for the first time, there was a sharp decline in natural rubber price. That's the first time that the price of history, and the decline continued till 2002. Unlike industrialists, farmers do not have the staying capacity. So that is the first phase of natural rubber. And from there, it started declining. The price started declining. And by 2003, the price of natural rubber again picked up with the changes in the international market. But I am comparing what happened now. At the present scenario is that natural rubber from 2003 to 2011-12, it has been rising. The price has been rising, continuous rise for more than a decade. In between, in 2008, there was a slight fall in natural rubber price because of the the crisis in the US bank, and it did not last for more than a year. But it was almost 1 decade. It was sustaining. The price was sustaining. In 2013-14, one can say when the price was relatively at a higher level, but it was in the sliding phase. Kerala accounted for 70% of the total natural rubber area under natural rubber in India. And in 22-23, it declined to 64%. There was almost a 6% decline in area under cultivation. And that was the time when natural rubber productivity in the world, India topped among the natural rubber producing countries. And in the case of production, because of the high productivity of natural rubber in Kerala, 83% of the total production of natural rubber in India was accounted for by Kerala, and in 22-23 it declined to 71%. So there has been a gradual decline. It is not gradual, one can get a sporadic decline in the relative share of Kerala in the natural rubber map of India. And in return, who has gained it? Tripura. It has improved its share from 9.1% to almost 12% now, and production has increased from 5% to 11%. And a few other northeastern states, because there has been a policy, it is called Rubber Mitra, where the union government wanted to shift the cultivation to northeastern states where they think the cost of production as compared to Kerala is relatively low, but agroclimatically the northeastern states are inferior as compared to the Kerala and southern part of Tamil Nadu. So I will, the internet, I will brief. See, why we are discussing this is because of the sharp decline in the scenario. From 2014 onwards, farmers, natural rubber farmers are politically, they are a strong group of affiliation with different political parties. Especially they are concentrated in a few districts in the southern middle of Kerala, Kottayam, Pathanamthitta, and part of Ernakulam. In the northern part is a Kannur district. Part of the Kannur district there is a strong domination of natural rubber farmer. They have a say in the election, and because they have been demanding state intervention in the natural rubber market by the state or central government, there have been the government of Kerala from 2013 onwards, they have been demanding state intervention, and in 2014 for the first time government of Kerala announced 100 crore rupees from the price stabilization fund because the price has significantly declined. And they said we are giving 100 crores, allocating 100, not from the government. There was a price stabilization fund from the union government, and union government and the state government were in the same political coalition. So they said they would be able to get it. And it was announced in 28th January 2014, but nothing happened, as in the case of, like any other farmer. And in 2000, because it did not work, the price started falling from 2012 onwards. 2014 budget, Kerala government declared that it will purchase natural rubber from farmers at the rate 171 per kg. Then the natural rubber market price was 147 per kg. And 10 crore rupees it was very meager. It was simply impossible to purchase that quantity of natural rubber. But they allocated 10 crore rupees. It was announced in 2014 February. Nothing happened, as usual. And then what happened? They said increase in the support price of NR by rupees 5 kg and procure NR from farmers at the rate of rupees 176. From 171, that was the floor price MSP declared by Kerala government for the farmers. And of course, they could not act upon that. But still, in 2014 October, they said, since we could not act on, we are going to act, because there was huge hue and cry, and there was, farmers' agitations in Delhi as well as in Kerala. There was a pressure, and they said we will buy natural rubber for 100 kg per 176 rupees, 6 rupees per kg. But no budget was earmarked for that. Naturally, it did not happen. It is a history. So NR will be procured. Next step was NR will be procured from the market at the rate of rupees 30 per kg in excess of the international market. That is another announcement which came in December 2014. There is a sequence of announcement, and for the natural rubber price has been falling in the market. And so what they will do, the government said we will say no to sale tax, and whatever the sale tax that the manufacturers give to the government on purchase of natural rubber can be stopped. These sale tax can be given to the natural rubber. It's a kind of redistribution. Now, this sale tax segment element can be given to natural farmers. Our tire manufacturers, they said we are very happy with the announcement. They stopped giving sale tax to the government, but also stopped sharing that sale tax with the farmers, because there was no system to ensure that. So these are all history which I am talking about. And in price stabilization fund for natural rubber, 20,000 metric ton. There was an announcement of, in 2015 March 13 budget, for the first time that the price stabilization scheme was announced. In the price stabilization scheme, it said that 150, so it came down from 76 to 150. And the price of natural rubber per kg in the ruling price was around 133 per kg. So 150 was declared as the floor price. And they said the farmers will give the natural rubber, farmers who have less than 2 hectares of land, with the average productivity that they have announced by that time. The rubber producers society, that they can give it to any trader, licensed rubber dealers, and collecting the receipt from the rubber dealers, it can be deposited with the rubber producer society. Rubber producer society will upload the bill into the rubber board. There is a portal designated for this purpose, and with the portal, Government of Kerala Finance Department will pay the difference between the ruling market price and the 150 rupees. And if the 133 means around 17 rupees will be paid per kg, it up to a maximum of around 1,500 kg per hectare. That situation continued, and rupees 300 crore were earmarked for that. This is the history of natural. This scheme continued till 2000, and from 2000 onwards, farmers again, but this this was not applicable then for the there are two types of production. One is farmers harvest the natural rubber. It is in the form of latex, that is lucid. It will be collected and processed as solid rubber, but for the in the initial phase, latex producers were not considered. Now it is being considered. They are also paid at a lesser rate. Then rubber production incentive scheme floor price is effectively implemented from July 16 from 150 kg per for grade. It continued till March 2021. The floor price was hiked to rupees 170 kg per kg in April 2021. The floor price has also been raised to 180 per kg in April 2024. So the government has been paying whenever the price of the market price is less than the floor price, the government is buying from farmers who have less than 2 hectares. Around 95, more than 95% of the farmers, natural rubber farmers, barring the estates. Estate sector, there are around 8% of the natural rubber is under the estate sector, having more than 100 acres. But otherwise 90% of the farmers are covered. And from November 2025, it was the floor price was raised to 200 per kg. More than 2,200 rupees have been spent on the scheme since 2006. This is the brief history that is. And now with the assembly election, the two important political coalitions in Kerala, Left Democratic Front and United Democratic Front, they have announced that they will, United Democratic Front announced that we will raise the price in the first cabinet meeting if we are ordered to power to rupees 250. And after a while, it will be increased to 300. The Left Democratic Front said, we are going to give a hike to the natural rubber price to rupees 300 per kg if we are ordered to power. But NDA, particularly the BJP, is not bothered about it, because in Uttar Pradesh, in the northern part of India, natural rubber is not very prominent, and they cannot give it, because in 2020 there has been a major strike going on. It is continuing for MSP. It could not even legalize, and they cannot have a separate rule for a single state. Probably that could be one of the reasons why they kept quiet. So now I am analyzing what? Now I am saying that whether the purpose of natural rubber, the purpose of the entire scheme of MSP, it is a kind of MSP, minimum support price, or can be called, it is called the Rubber Producers Production Incentive Scheme. Rubber Production Incentive Scheme is that when the 150 rupees is announced, the tire manufacturers will be able to buy the natural rubber only at, even if they are paying at a lower level, at a lesser rate, the government will step in and pay the difference. So there will be an effect in the open market that because of the intervention scheme, as it happened with other MSP, minimum support price, that it will have a impact, cushioning impact in the open market. That is the whole economic theory behind it. So I am analyzing, that is the crux of it, I am analyzing it, but has it happened in Kerala? During the last, it's almost a decade, has it ever happened? We used a kind of run test, which is quite common in this analysis. What the run test says is that we have the minimum support price on the one side, that is 150 from 2016, and we have the market price. If the minimum support price influences the market price, then the deviation from the minimum market price to minimum support price will be minimum. Minimum means it will be almost moving in tandem with one another. This is the statistical exercise. So many other studies have done it in the past. So from June 2015 to October 20, it is a monthly data we have used for natural rubber. Monthly natural rubber is a 12 months crop. Of course, January, February, March, 3 months they give us to topping trees, and otherwise it is you can say it is a 9 months crop, 9 months continuous harvest with mild up and down. During the period from 2015 to 20, there were 67 incidents, monthly average prices, which was negative. That means it was less than, the market price was less than the minimum support price or the floor price. Average change from the floor price was as high as rupees 23. That is for the whole 67 months. And percentage of negative deviation during this period was 19 rupees. That was the deviation. And every month, if you take the range, minimum and maximum, it moved from rupees 3 to rupees 56. That means there was a time when natural rubber was sold at 96 rupees. Precisely, the literature concludes with this, that during this period, the floor price did not have any effect on the market price. From November 2022, that was the time when the government of Kerala decided to increase the floor price to 170. From 2020 to 2021, 6 positive changes. That means the floor price market price was higher than the floor price only in 6 incidents, 6 months. And the average deviation was rupees 6.56. See, the percentage, if you take it as a percentage of the total deviation, floor price, it is around 0.4, much less than the negative deviation. The range is, even if the floor price, the market price has gone just above the floor price, its range is from 20 paise to 8 rupees. It's much below the natural rubber price. So this is, when we take the whole period from monthly price from 2020-21 to 2025 December, the number of deviation that we can observe in 2020 to 2024, there were 21 negative deviations, and only from March 24 to October 25, there were 20 positive deviations, that the floor price was, market price was higher than the floor price. And the deviation, so precisely this is what the number of negatives are much significantly higher than number of positives. So we could work out a biparent test, structural break. What are the breaks period? The analysis start from 70, and what is the growth rate? There were, most of the breaks happened after, in area, production and yield. Area, there are only, there are 3 breaks, but these are all significant, which we will explain. See, look at, even if there has been a significant decline in natural rubber price and the price that the farmers receive today, is only 60 to 70% of what they realized in 2011-12. This is a kind of sin. Natural rubber is a perennial crop which has a gestation period of about 7 years and a life expectancy of around 30 years. Like coffee, tea, and coffee and tea has more than 30 years, but natural rubber is about 30 years. It has a salvage value as well. And still, this is about Kerala only because it accounts for around still 65% of the total cultivated area. And what we are trying to say in these cases, even if the price has been falling, during the all break points that we have observed, the area under natural rubber has been reporting a positive growth rate. And in the case of production, it has started significantly falling. It has fallen 2003-2008 period, relatively a better price period. Production has been positive 1.67. 2009-14, around 2011-12 price peaked, it was 5.02. Since then, 2015-24, the production of natural rubber in Kerala has declined at the rate of 9% per annum. This is the King's exponential function the growth rate is worked out. And yield you look at, yield has also reported a negative growth rate, even if this is the whole point that I am trying to bring to your attention, that even if the area has been increasing, the yield is negative during the almost more than a decade, that is 0.16 at the rate it has been increasing. And the price you look at, price has had numerous breaks, but from 2003 onwards, particularly after the trade liberalization till 1986, there has been continuous price hike. Has been systematic regularity one could observe in the price, but from since 1997, it has been declining. It has been fluctuating and almost growth rate has been negative, barring a period from 2003 to 2009. So if you take the deviation, we have already break. This is a structural break. You have the trend growth rate here. See, look at this period from 2000. If we cut down the period of from 1980 to 2030 and 2014 to 25, we have in the second period, that means the declining phase of natural rubber, we have a negative growth rate in area. If we divide the period, production 7% negative growth rate and yield. So this is the point that I am driving home is, in spite of the increase in floor price declared by the government for the last almost for 12 years, you can say 10 years at least, there has not been the decline in production and yield could not be arrested, and it has been, and the yield trend is this one. And see, another incident that has been happening, because it has implications with our conclusion, what is happening, the red line is the area, tapped rubber area under mature rubber area which is being tapped. After 7 years of planting, rubber can be tapped, harvested, and black shows the area under tapping, and red shows the total area. The point that after 2012 onwards, the black bar has gone above the red bar, saying that farmers have left the rubber plantations untapped. The area as a percentage of total area has been area left untapped as proportion is much higher than the total area. See, what is the scenario now? I will cut short the presentation now. See, if we can have a decomposition of growth rate, and decomposition of growth rate says that from 2016 to 25, if we take the price effect was negative. Whatever the additive decomposition model, whatever value of change in value of output, whatever production increase in production, it is mostly contributed during the period 2016-25 is by area, effect is about 124, and yield effect was marginal 25. And if you take the log version also, more or less same result is a triangulation log version. And in the initial period, if you take the price effect has been positive during the 2003-15 period. So the point that is driving home is that during the, then we have the interaction effect, more or less the same thing, that during the price declining price, when the government announced the floor price, it could not arrest. The same argument holds good here, that the price effect has been negative because of the price, farmers are cutting down their trees or they are not harvesting their crop. And that is why the price effect is negative on production. This is precisely what it says. As compared to 2003-15 period, price effect has been positive. Whatever increase in production achieved during this period was mainly because of the price effect from 2003 to 15. In the later period, it is because of the area and the effect. So, the conclusion that I am driving home is that look at 1980-81, import as percentage of consumption. In 80-81, India imported only 3% of its domestic requirement of natural rubber. It has gradually increased after trade liberalization, especially after 2010-11, and it has gone to a situation where in 2019-20, India has been importing almost 40% of its natural rubber for domestic consumption. And so India as a country has been sliding down from self-sufficiency in natural rubber production as part of its development strategy prior to 1991 to natural rubber import-dependent economy. It is about 40% now, the latest data. See, now whether the market price can influence the floor price, government state intervention in such commodities which has a wider international market and a domestic market which functions outside Kerala, can the state government intervene in the domestic price? See, look at this diagram. The domestic price moves absolutely in tandem with the world price. Unless you can influence the world price, there is very little scope for influencing the domestic price. Of course, a part of the revenue can be distributed to marginal and small farmers, but this is the impact. See, if we take the log, that means even if we remove the relative change in natural logarithm term, relative change we are taking, it is more closely moving with international price. That means Indian price is a function of international price and not otherwise. And we have worked out the elasticity with the double log function, and double log function says that domestic price is inversely related to quantity of NR imported, and it is significant during this period of 35 years. And second thing, domestic price and NR yield, if the domestic price continue to fall, NR yield will have a negative implication, because Vietnam has an yield productivity of natural rubber which is around 1800 kg, where India's productivity is around 1450 kg, and their productivity holds the market, player. And this is what happened. For most of the elasticity that we have worked out, it shows that the domestic price is a function of factors which is beyond the control of the state government. And it is same, if we take international price and domestic price move in closely in tandem, it has a elasticity of 0.8, and NR consumption, this is what happened. And look at this diagram, it is a little bit scattered, and NR price is, it also moves with world GDP. It has this. So I am closing it now. What I am trying to say is what is happening. We have very recently conducted a survey in Kanjirapalli, that is a heartland of natural rubber cultivation in central Travancore. In the past, farmers used to process rubber, lattice rubber into solid sheet. That is on the left side, your right side. And now what they are doing, it is as the cultural the agriculture, for any agriculture commodity, when you add value to it before it is marketed to the final consumer, the price, the difference between farm gate price and the price realized by the farmer, that is the farm gate price and the the difference between the two, that the farm gate price and the buyer's price, the difference will be very minimum. That means the tire manufacturers will buy a kg of natural rubber for 100 rupees. That even if the tire manufacturer sells it, he will also get around 105, 2 rupees, 3 rupees. And the farmers get, that is the farm gate, farmers also get around 96, 97 rupees. This is because they sell the product which is ready to consume. But now, because of the decline in NR price, it has gone to the extent of a different scenario where they are, see, in between there is something called, a unprocessed rubber. Now they are selling that, they are not processing. That means in the value chain, the rubber farmers are coming back. They are going to the almost 30, 40 years scenario. Now, farmers have cut down the tree, they are planting in the rubber plantations, Carland area, they are planting other crops, like it is leased out. This is the major crop they are planting. This is a farmer, trader, important trader, who constructed a house in the head area of natural rubber. It is his house in Kanyirapalli, the Chirakadav Gram Panchayat, where we did survey. And he is now running a shop which I don't have I have the photo. This house he constructed when the natural rubber, he has about 5-6 acre of natural rubber. Now he is running a petty shop here. He was a trader as well. There is no trading business in the natural rubber because farmers do not make solid rubber. They are selling only latex, and latex are large companies are buying latex. So this is another farmer. So I am concluding there is no solid statistical evidence that the floor price fixed by the government of Kerala has helped stabilize NR price in India. It is attributable to the fact that the NR price in the world market is influenced by a host of factors, including crude oil price and world GDP growth. It needs to be admitted that the NR price is market determined, and the floor price helps farmers to realize it when the price falls below the minimum. The decline in production is accounted for by price effect after 2015, while price effect played an important role in sustaining the crop during 2003-2025 period. Thank you.
Join. Okay. So, friends, we had an interesting presentation, very pertinent issue. What has been the impact of the RPIS scheme on stabilizing rubber prices? And as Professor Mohanakumar has shown to us that there has been hardly any effect of the RPIS on stabilizing the prices or the NR prices at the national level or having any influence at the international level. So that's one important finding as such. We will take a few questions if there are any queries, comments, questions to be made. Otherwise, I'll come back and give 1 or 2 questions to Professor. If there are any questions, please go ahead. Yes, Vijay. Yeah. Take more questions. Any other questions?
Consider the area growth and the production growth, we can see that even though the area growth has come down, because even then it's positive now, but the production growth was negative after 2000, maybe consider 2015 to 24. So the production have more influence on productivity, like so. The major reason might be the untapping. So what are the other reasons other than this untapping? The declining productivity. So, and how this productivity can be increased?
Yes.
One clarificatory question on that statistical structural break apart. There was the growth rate that you had used, if I'm not wrong. So were there only 7 data points used? Because we have mentioned 7 data points. That is one clarificatory question. And other question is, if growth rate is being used in the structural break test, will the growth rate be very volatile? Shouldn't the level variable of production data itself would be better to use this approach, the structural break test?
Can you repeat it? I didn't get you.
Yes, sir. So in the structural break test which you had done, the variable was a growth rate, is that?
That, once you have the breakpoints, because we give it in the R package, you must be knowing R package. And R package we have a command like confined, that we give the confined activity. Since it is some 45 years data, we give 5 breaks minimum. Like we give the code that only statistically significant breaks can bring out. Once we have the break, then we use the King's exponential growth function. We estimate separately. We take it and then use the King's exponential growth function so that degrees of freedom will not be affected. So otherwise, short period breaks is not significant. That's the way we work it out. It is very common statistical thing which does.
My doubt was growth rate was used as the variable.
No, growth rate. It is growth rate. Actually, we use the natural logarithm. See, when you don't use absolute data. That is unless you specify in the R package to use the natural logarithm. R package has a, it is a voluptuous package that will directly go to absolute values and gives you data, and you will end up in wrong conclusions. You have to specify in the code that the log form, natural log form, has to be taken for values when you work out identify the breaks.
Yeah.
This is what we give the code. Yes. Yeah, please. Yeah. No, you can. That's okay. It's a statistical question. I will pass it.
Address the other questions. I think so you can.
Other questions.
Yeah.
Okay. The first question was about why there is been a decline in production, right? This is your question. Why there has been a, as I understand
First, he asked about the land reform.
a land reforms question. Kerala is one of the states where, of course, there are differences of opinion who bought the land, and that's a great controversy which that we can discuss later. But is one of the states where land reform has been effectively implemented since late 70s.
But he was wondering why it was not implemented in the estates.
In the estate sector as well, these are all not land farmers. That's why the government, irrespective of the nature of the government, whether it is right wing or left wing, they have to take into account the price fall of natural rubber. They pump out money around 600 crore. 2,200 crore in a state like Kerala during the last 10 years to a single crop is unimaginable. They have given. This is because, these farmers are the average size of holdings of natural rubber is 0.4 acre, not even 1 acre. Average size of holdings. So it is a small, tiny farmers. Most of them were using own tapping, self-tapping to survive. Now they have left it and became auto rickshaw drivers in the area where we did this study. It is an effect of land reform. Very small, tiny holdings. They cultivate natural rubber. Of course, it is called a plantation crop, but it doesn't have any place of plantation crops.
I think
That is around 8% of the total. These are all large companies, not individual owners. Isn't it?
Well, I think even asking why you said that.
Acha, why that is happening? That is a, that is something which is beyond the regulation of the subnations, state governments. There are rules with this union government that the estates are exempted from land ceding. Not only in Kerala. Even Kerala Act it is exempted. When the Land Reforms Act was constituted, it is a point that has been, even now it is being discussed. There were attempts in the 2006 to 2011 period. There were attempts to regulate and redistribute the land, but it did not succeed much.
Because national level
It is, there are national level rules and regulations which court will definitely intervene, because otherwise you change it. Agriculture comes under the, most of the, these things comes under the Central Act. State government cannot take away unless central government legislate it, like nationalization of banks, nationalization of estates. That has to be done, but it is not that easy that a state government can go ahead.
Also, at least on paper, this land is on lease. It's not
Yes,
owned.
yes, that is another issue.
These are not owned by the.
Owned by
These are not owned by the plantation. These are not leased by
to the plantation.
Even on lease to the plantations by the state government. But they don't. Yeah. The state government, you have at least on paper, but in reality, that's not how it works. At least on paper, there is a lease, and there is lease for 99 years and all these things.
Yeah, that
So
is.
before the independence period, it was given for 99 years. Right? So now, till the 99 years is over, you will not be able to put any claim on it. State government will not be able to put any claim on it. There has been attempts to recover that land, but it will be always there will be opposition to that, saying that no, you are not. So that's one. The other question about
Achha,
production.
about the product, what you are saying that productive. Of course, like when you work out, your question is that decomposition model. The price effect is more than the area effect, right?
decline in productivity, when we think about the area and production, the decline was mainly because of declining production rather than the declining area.
Yeah.
So that decline in production was mainly due to the neglect of farmer towards
Exactly,
tapping
you are right, you are right. Farmers are not tapping their rubber plantations now. It's large, that's why the data shows that if you take tapped area as percentage of the total natural rubber area, it has been increasing very fast in Kerala. Because the area mature rubber trees, after 7 years of planting, rubber trees become mature rubber trees and it can be tapped, but farmers do not tap, because this is not remunerative. Unless you have an adequate family labor, it may not be. They must be tapping now, but after a while, if the price dips below a remunerative point, they will stop tapping. That's what happened. That's happened with every crop. See, the whole point is something like, it is the natural rubber cultivation. Kerala has started showing signs of senility, or it is natural death, it is gone. Towards it. Not today, it might happen near future. So like human being, the crops also have a death and rebirth. Sometimes it will take a rebirth after a while, but for a perennial crop, it is difficult. Otherwise, it is going, that's what the whole idea is about. It is going towards a natural death of the crop. Once,
Even the
eh?
Kerala's contribution towards the country's share is more, right? So
Yeah, that's of